So Hillary Clinton is riding high in the polls after the past few weeks of Donald Trump imploding in front of our eyes. Well, now she took the next step, which is, I'm going to go after the far right. Oh, sweet Jesus. Okay. So she went to an obscure newspaper in Utah and wrote an op-ed there, and it was a fucking panderfest. So it says on their website, exclusive, Hillary Clinton, what I have in common with Utah leaders. Religious freedom and the Constitution. Now, the reason she's doing this is Utah is super duper duper Mormon. I'm sure you guys know that. So all of a sudden, when it comes time, oh, let me write an op-ed in your newspaper and talk about how much I love religious freedom. And I'm going to let you guys get away with whatever the fuck you want to get away with under the guise of religious freedom if you vote for me. So I'm just letting you know, fuck the other guy. And by the way, Utah already is massively anti-Trump. When they had the primary there, Ted Cruz won by 1.5 miles. I mean, I think Trump may have came in third. He was winning everything going into Utah, and Utah just shat in his face, which actually makes me dislike Utah more, because you think fucking Ted Cruz is better than Donald Trump? Donald Trump is a fascist maniac. Ted Cruz is a theocratic fascist maniac. Cruz is worse. He's worse. But in Utah, they're like, ooh, as long as he's creepy fundamentalist, right up our alley. So they go with Ted Cruz. Well, now, Hillary Clinton's like, well, if I pretend like I'm creepy and fundamentalist and write an op-ed where I say I love Mormonism, well, then maybe they'll vote for me. So what does she do in the piece? She literally quotes Mormon leaders and talks about how, oh, they made a great point when they said this and they said that. Oh, God. Hillary, this is why we hate you. This is why we don't like you. Actually, it's one of many reasons. Probably the main reason is your overt, blatant corruption that's fucking rubbed in our face. But look at this. You're such a standard robotic politician. You're such a calculating politician. What immediately came to mind when I read this was, this is like when the DNC was tipping the scale in Hillary's direction during the primary, and you had people within the DNC floating ideas. How do we tank Bernie Sanders in the states he's doing well? Well, you know, the election was coming up in Kentucky and a few other places, and they're like, oh, how about if we float the idea that he's an atheist and we say, hey, aren't you an atheist? Are you? And they thought, well, if people in West Virginia and Kentucky know he's an atheist, well, they actually dislike atheists more than they dislike Jews. So go with atheist shame him and out him as an atheist, and then maybe Hillary can win solely based off the fact that she's going to start using more religious rhetoric in this part of the country. And she did. Remember, I don't know if you guys remember in the town halls and the debates leading up to Kentucky and West Virginia, and I'm so mad at myself for not realizing this at the time. All of a sudden, her rhetoric became more religious. All of a sudden. You know, when it was in the South, oh, she cares a lot about police abuse. And she is totally down with the struggle with Black Lives Matter when she's in the South. Oh, look at that. All of a sudden we're in Kentucky and West Virginia. Well, no, my main concern here is I want to let everybody know how religious I am. Oh, my God. And then this is another clear example of it. As Donald Trump's imploding, she's going around and trying to pander and pick off every single vote. But this is why all along the fucking base, still many in the base are not going to vote for Hillary Clinton. Why? Because we knew she was playing us all along. We knew it. Oh, yeah, I am totally against TPP and down with Bernie Sanders' agenda when I'm in a room with progressives. And the entire time we're like, we don't believe you. We don't believe you. Watch what happens. As soon as the general election comes along, you're going to fucking sprint to the right. That's exactly what the fuck she did. Now she's trying to pick off votes in fucking Utah. In Utah. Literally one of the most Republican states in the country. She's like, I don't care. I'd rather try to get Republican votes than get my base votes. Guys, there's this bullshit number going around. 90% of Bernie Sanders supporters are going to vote for Hillary Clinton. No. That's only when you limit people's choices. If you had to pick, if you were forced to pick between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton, who's better? They go, okay, Hillary Clinton. But when you give people other options, Gary Johnson, Jill Stein, write in a candidate, don't vote at all of a sudden it's only 50%, 60% of Bernie Sanders supporters who are going to vote for Hillary Clinton. What does Hillary do? In her infinite arrogance, she's like, fuck it, I got him anyway, even though I don't have him. Now let me try to get some fucking crazy Mormons in Utah to vote for me. This is why we don't like you. If there's anybody on the planet who could somehow fuck up an election against a fascist buffoon like Donald Trump and lose, it's Hillary Clinton. Now, thankfully, he's imploding on a whole nother level right now like I've never seen, to the point where it's a legitimate question as to whether or not he's throwing the election. But believe you me, if Trump had just kept hitting her on the corruption and hitting her on the Wall Street ties, and he acted more anti-war than she did and kept hammering that point instead of, saying stupid things and imploding all around the country, he would still be up in the polls right now. But since he's imploding, he's not. But either way, she's running the worst campaign possible, and what's so annoying is that she thinks she's nailing it. As she's begging fundamentalist Mormons for votes, she thinks like, well, my base will never leave me. No, you actually didn't ever really have them.